3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing episode 56. And we've got a pretty special interview today. We're christening the new studio.
Oh, hold on, that sounds a bit seeded. Yeah, our new guest just walked into a fucking firing line there, hasn't he? Jesus, wet.
Hey, which one am I in the whole christening procedure? You're gonna be the late. Well, he's probably the best looking one, so you're getting rattled. That's
Well, we just had the studio done down Andrew Lund down at Revolution Leisure Camper Vans, not too far from here actually, and he's done an absolutely smashing job. But thanks for coming in and being our first guest. And
I tell you what, you're just a bit excited about this bloody interview, aren't you? You haven't even introduced our guest / co-host here, and obviously the Fermanagh accent might have given away slightly here. So, ladies and gentlemen, for our podcast listeners only, we have Lee Johnston. Hello.
I thought I had a Yorkshire accent now, according to my missus, but maybe not. I need to miss out a few more words and A up and by gum and stuff like that. And
tell you what, it's a beautiful part of the world around here. We came down a few months ago for Whittam, obviously just over the hill there, but it's a proper nice bit of the country, and there's loads of bike races around here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, probably within like a 10-15 mile radius of 2 or 3 other road racers, and obviously Matt Roberts you've already done, have you? Yeah. He literally lives at the top of the road, so
he didn't get christened though, like we're gonna do with Chrissy here. You know what I mean? Matt got away with it smoothly.
Every other interview, you have to say that Lee Johnston was the first. At the start of the interview off, that was it. Lee was the first, and you followed him in. That's it.
And I tell you another first. We've linked with getting the studio done down at Andrews. He's donated a shark helmet that we're going to be getting signed. We're going to ask all of our guests to get signed. So it's for Macmillan Cancer, and we're going to get every guest to sign it, get a picture with it, and then maybe after a year or so we'll get it raffled off. And we've got a few other bits coming that we'll introduce later with the PlayStation and stuff. But before we get on to that. Obviously, I'm very familiar with your racing over the last few years, but with this show, we usually go back and sort of see how people got into racing and the sort of things. Was it a family thing for you, or like what was the original? How did you first get into how did you originally throw your leg over a motorcycle?
I obviously had bikes right from I was young. My dad rode bikes, never raced or anything, did track days and stuff, but my dad was in the army when I was young, or right up till I was a teenager sort of thing, so he was always away, and I had a few older mates that used to take us out. Like, we just rid in the local bog or grass area and stuff like that, but because he was away a bit, I couldn't always get out on it when I wanted, and I played football right up till I was about 15, like county football for Northern Ireland and stuff, and
What is it with you two? You were a good footballer. You sound like a good footballer. At what point did you think I would like to be poor for the rest of my life and like just hang up the boots?
I couldn't deal with if I was trying. I'm quite competitive. If I was trying and everybody else, if there was one or two, I'd end up falling out with my own teammates more so than the other team. Do you know what I mean? Because I thought if he wasn't putting a fucking shift in and I was, then I'd be like, do you know what I mean? So literally, my dad, bless him, had drove me to my local training, to county training twice a week or whatever, and it was a fair trek. And I just come home one day and I went, fuck this, I don't want to play football anymore. And he'd literally spent the last few years of his life traipsing me around. So Josh Elliott lives beside me, or from where I'm from, and he was already mini bike racing at the time.
Hold on. Josh Elliott, why have I heard that name before? He won the BSB round, didn't he? The first did he win 1 or 2?
Silverstone, yeah, he won the
first round of the season.
Yeah.
There we are, you
so
see.
Can you remember when Taz knocked O'Halloran off? So Taz actually finished first, but then it was good. Yeah, give him a job.
He didn't knock him off.
He knocked him off.
I love
Go on, right, let's talk this through, because we have got him lined up as a guest, so he'll defend his honour here, but he'll probably be tuning in listening to you. But go on then, you talk me. Now, I believe he knocked him off. He was on the white line.
There was loads of room. I tell you what, if you've got Taz on, you ask Taz if his dad would have done the same thing, and fuck, I bet my life savings on it he would have done. Neil's far more savage than both of them put together. So
I was laughing because the cameras went straight to Neil in the.
He's like.
But go on, so you got the football.
No. Let's go back one here. So right, let's delve into this a little bit more. Now, he knocked his teammate off. So, as a professional rider, what do you make to that though? Or do you just think you're in it by yourself and you just go for it?
I think the hard thing is from my understanding, they had a good relationship. Do you know what I mean? And Jason is decent bloke, do you know what I mean? And he's been about long enough to know what is what, and I think after that or now they've got a decent relationship again, do you know what I mean? Probably at the time you wanted to batter each other, but I think if Taz has probably been a little bit too forgiven in the past, and the people have probably said to him that he needs to be more aggressive, and then when he is more aggressive, then so you can't give it both ways.
Just on that subject, have you ever knocked a teammate off or been knocked off by a teammate?
I've never really had that many teammates, to be fair. So
your football career, so you don't play well with others, period. So how the hell you've gone to build your own team, which we'll get into later on, is outstanding, Lee. Can I just say?
It's I've never been knocked off by. I've never really been knocked off by that many people, to be fair. I think I've always just done it on my own accord, or maybe even I've knocked Josh Brooks off going into the Craig before, and shit you not, I hadn't even got myself out of the Beals, and he turned around and asked me if it was all right. So that shows you the level of the man he is, and I know some people probably don't take him the right way because he's pretty black and white, but I'd defend him to the last, because if someone just knocked me off there and the first thing you say is, "Are you okay?" that takes a good bloke to say that. So
without a doubt, and I'm just flashing back through my road racing history. There was a famous incident with you and Alistair Seeley at the Northwest. Now that was human. I was telling you about that on the way down. That was a humongous moment. So now just paint a picture for everyone listening to this. Who was on the inside? Who was on the outside? At which corner?
I don't know the names. Oh, Metropole.
Metropole,
I was on the outside, and Alistair didn't hit me. Obviously, I run into him because I was on the outside, and then I hit the air. I was lucky, really, because I just missed the telegraph pole and hit the air fence, but I won the next race. Actually, I won the Super Twin race after that, but I think it was just because I was that pissed off. But he said sorry to me and everything at the time, and then when I was going back in the ambulance, I heard him on the radio going, "Oh, I think it was maybe Lee's fault. He cut the nose off me." So then I just fucking went mental in the back of the ambulance. So but then to be fair, then I've knocked him off at York Hairpin after that. So
I love how we start this conversation with, "No, I've never really knocked anybody off. I've never really been in any sort of situation."
You just forget, don't you?
You choose to forget.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. But I think that's the type of the rider Alistair is. Do you know what I mean? Once he sort of understands, you don't get away with it. Like Jack sort of showed him, and he's hard. Do you know what I mean? He's hard, but if he thinks that it's not gonna, he'll not do it. Do you know what I mean? He's got enough brain power to know that that's not an option. Do you know what I mean? If he's gonna get served, as most people do, if you serve them a portion back, then that's it.
He definitely showed that, because at the Northwest last year, it was coming into that. The last chicane there, Seeley clipped the grass, and you took the win. So,
well, to be fair, that week, I don't know if you remember, but Mervyn had started saying he was going to fine people because they kept running through the chicanes. But I went through it a few times because I absolutely knew my braking marker to within a foot or two. I thought, well, I can't get stopped here. And I went into the last corner because I know that's always where that happens. I went in and I thought, that's me. That if anybody comes past here, I'll fucking shake his hand on the podium and say, "Well done, mate." And I was absolutely anchors on, and he passed me with the back wheel in the air, and I just had a little chut. I thought, "You're never getting, not a chance you're getting stopped here." And then he
made a good effort of it, mine, but it was on the way out on the right, and then
he just cut it too tight, but I knew that even before he got through, I thought he might not fall off, but he's fucking not getting through the chicane and coming out in front.
So what's that, as a rider, what were you thinking when you were making that top turn? Were you just thinking, this is all mine to bid it out? Number two's in the grass on his face, and you're going, I obviously didn't.
I was already along. I'd nipped past him, so I didn't see him fall off. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And there was a bit of a hoo-ha after, because everybody cheered when I took the lead, and then a split second later he crashed, so it sort of sounded like they were cheering when he crashed, but obviously they weren't. Do you know what I mean? Nobody wants anyone to see somebody fall off, and there was a little bit about it in the newspaper and stuff, and I felt quite bad, really, because I think some people that supported me were beside maybe Alistair's missus at the time, and they obviously cheered and then that happened. Do you know what I mean? And it probably looked bad, but yeah, nobody wants to see anybody fall off, and that's what happened. But I got the fucking win, so
Sorry. Before we go back to football, Before we go back to the football, how many Northwests have you win now?
I don't know, to be honest.
Oh, look, there's that many.
I'm not. No, I maybe 4 or something like that. 4, 3, 4.
Well, have Lee Johnston fans listen to this going, how does he not know?
I don't remember. For the life of me, I wouldn't know how many podiums I've had at any track there, the Ulster. At the TT, I've had super stock, 2 electric podiums, and a win in Supersport. But I don't know the Northwest, the Ulster, or British Championship.
You always have a good go at the Northwest mind, though, don't you?
Yeah. Just because all my mates are up there on the piss, so you want to put a bit of a show on, don't you?
Now, you've won a British title, haven't you?
Yeah, super stock, yeah.
You didn't know that, did you? Now, hold on. He's actually a BSB rider, you know. He's one of you hair gel wankers originally. He's from stock. He's from stock,
I do remember watching you on a Ducati winning a super stock race.
Fucking PJ, the little bastard. No, I finished second. I led the whole... I think we gapped everybody by, like, I don't know, 6 seconds or something at Donington. And I thought he was on the Taiko Suzuki and I was on a Ducati, and I led every lap, and I high-sided coming out of the last not off crash, but high-sided a little bit coming out of the last corner, and he beat me to the line, but he went on the grass, and some of them said to me, he says, oh, why don't you protest, because he wasn't actually on the track. And I said, how the fuck am I going to protest some guy beating me on the grass? I says, if he's willing to beat me on the grass, he deserves to win the race. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Was that the Ducati that you were riding for? Was that for Wilf?
So yeah, he helped. It was Middlesport Ducati, a team in Northern Ireland, but Wilf, run the bike and stuff.
So we had Wilf on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about
he was a big help. To be fair, he come to the Northwest one year, and I think it blew his mind. To be honest,
I asked him about road racing, and he basically just said it was the equivalent of would he be interested in doing motocross? He just said it's just a different sport, and he's just it's not really what he like. I think he sort of prides himself on looking for like the tiny tenths on pushing the bike to the limit. But anyway, let's get back to how you got into bike. So from football, what was your first?
So Josh was already racing mini motos, and I went there. I can't remember if we went to watch or I was planning on having a go or something. But I was pretty decent at it straight away, sort of thing. So we got a mini moto. Raced that for a year and won on it. I won the championship, whatever. I think we come and did some British championship as well, and won a race at Lydden Hill, I think it is, maybe.
Right at the bottom of the country.
Yeah, somewhere, I think somewhere like that, maybe.
I can't remember.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Lydden Hill's a big track.
Oh, no, maybe, yeah.
Lyd's the go-kart track.
It was a good track, anyway, so maybe, I think I won that round as well, and then...
Bradley Ray lives pretty much on the Lyd circuit, so he was, when I used to race down there, he was like the man to beat down there.
Yeah.
It's just by the sea, because I remember it's the first time I had to change the jetting for the because the bike was running deep boggy. But, and then from the mini bikes, was it like metric kits or combis or something?
So my dad didn't know anything about a 2-stroke, so we couldn't get a 125 or anything. So basically, he had a RSV Millie Aprilia, you know, and we went to a track day. And he said, if by the end of the day, if I was quicker than him on the bike, I'd never really... the only thing I'd rid with gears was a fucking KX80, so this was like a pretty... And he said, oh, have a go, and if you're quicker than... Like, he was a fast group track day rider, do you know what I mean? He would do, like, say around somewhere like Kirkston, he would have been like 6 seconds off probably like someone decent. So he said, have a go and see what you think. So about dinner time, I was faster than him. And then he sold his bike, and he never owned another bike until the day he died, till that there. I offered to get, he bought me a fucked R6 off a guy called John Donnan that used to be a big road racer at home. And I did a year Irish Championship racing. And then I come and did like 3 or 4 meetings in British Superstock, the big class. But I remember we got to Thruxton and we set off walking, and we didn't know which way the track went round, and I was like, Dad, we'll just ask someone. He goes, fucking no way you're asking some which way the track goes. He's like, 2 fucking paddies over here, didn't even know. And to be fair, that's
kind of a joke.
I know, exactly, yeah. But that year, I think
go around the track.
Glenn Richards won the championship and stuff, and I remember, like, I was never more than 1.5 seconds off him anywhere, which for not knowing where the track, and I thought, fuck this, all right. So then we did like 4 or 5 meetings because we couldn't afford. So the next year, then we went and did junior Superstock, and I think I got on many meetings. Is there 12?
About that, yeah.
I think I got like 10 podiums and won, I don't know how many, a few rounds or whatever, but shit. won a few meetings and stuff, and because we literally at the start of the year he says if we don't win the championship we can't afford to come back. That is it. Like we did it out of a Sprinter van with an
Was
R6.
that like you running yourself, like not
Yeah,
a team
so
or
no,
anything?
so Raceways, we got the bike off Raceways, and then once like they didn't know who we were or anything, they said, oh, there's a bike at cost or whatever. And then after like 3 or 4 meetings, this is, oh, he's actually at the front sort of thing. I don't think they expected, do you know what I mean? And then Steve Rogers started to help us out a little bit, you know, just with silly things like brake pads and stuff. And then when I won the championship the year after, I rode for Raceways in Supersport, and that's sort of how it happened. But he helped us out massively, and I think all I had to pay for was my tire bill, which was like nowadays is massive. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And my first ever Supersport race, I finished 4th. Fucking Plater beat me to the podium at Brands Hatch, and I was devastated that I didn't get on because I'd been on the podium all the year before, so I thought that was just it. And
how old were you by the?
I was about to say, what age comparisons were these?
So I was probably 18 when I won the junior Superstock, so 19 or 20 maybe when I was.
How old were you when you hopped on a millie then?
17. 16, 17,
Jesus.
something like that, yeah.
Now, for people that don't know what a Aprilia Millia
It's
is,
a big
Google
tank,
it.
yeah.
Google it, and it's pretty much up
Yeah.
there with Sherman tanks.
Yeah.
They are humongous.
But even when this is how, so when the Suzuki came out, it was probably like a K6 or something, and for some reason that year they couldn't get bodywork, so I was riding it in British Championship with road bodywork on, like that was just the lights taped up and stuff out of it, yeah, doing British Superstar.
So you went from like.
Yeah.
Sorry, hon, you said 80, so did you do any schoolboy motocross or anything like that?
No,
So
never raced anything at all.
Right.
That was literally the first racing I did was when I did some super sport, and fucking Seeley was there then. So I've raced him since I think I finished second at my first year. He won the championship, and I finished second to him.
Crap.
And then sort of went. But the first ever, when we went to England to do our very first ever Superstock meeting, it was at Brands Hatch, and I didn't qualify. I was like. It was Brands Hatch India, so it was probably 1.2 seconds off or something, and I was 31st, and the grid was 30th. Yeah, so I drove the whole way from fucking. You imagine listening to your dad driving back from there. I never even. I thought, well, I'm not good enough. I'm never gonna. If I can't even qualify for my first race, but then Seeley didn't qualify either. So Seeley, you think how good Alistair Seeley is? He didn't qualify for his first.
It's crazy, and I think. It's difficult to even get your head around that. I remember in 2012, it was the year Lee Jackson won the Superstock 600.
Yeah.
He got lapped in the first. He was like qualified about 35th and got lapped in the first race, and then he went on to win the championship. And you think how
It's progression, isn't it?
Yeah. But that gives everyone a bit of hope, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No matter where you are on the grid, it's like
Even I'm feeling hopeful now. Gee, there you are.
And then obviously from the Supersport days. Now, did you always have in mind to eventually go road racing, or like
No.
what was the first taste of like Northwest or whatever?
I think I went to, so when I signed for East Coast, Gary Johnson was obviously my teammate doing Supersport then, and I was going all right that year. The bikes weren't as good as what we thought they were going to be. They were the old G&S bikes, and they were just tired, and like the team was trying hard, I mean, but the bike was just tired. So
Were they the bikes bought from when Sam Lewis won the Hondas?
Yeah. So, but that year they had full electronics, and then the year after the rules changed. So that was the advantage of the bike. Do you know what I mean? They had full Motec like traction. So
And you ran that at the TT that year?
no. So
Right.
so Gary actually won when he won his first TT when we were at East Coast. He won it on my bike because his Supersport bike, they had a little electrical problem with it and they couldn't get it to run right. So Phil says, "Oh, they brought my bike as a spare." I wasn't racing roads at this time or anything. I'd done the Northwest that year. I think I finished 6th or 8th maybe. I remember battling with Guy Martin and I can't remember who else. There was a battle for like 6th position at the first time I went.
What year was this in?
2011.
So was it kind of from the
Really?
team? So the team were road racing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then
So
they
just said
you
come
sort of-
along, for the jolly. I just went for the crack really to get pissed and have a laugh, and I thought this was a good idea. So in 2011, I didn't do the TT, and then the team folded at like halfway through 2011 or near the end of it, and I ended up working for Phil at the time. He just said come over in between a few meetings. Do you want to come and work? And I stayed there. And he says, "What do you want to do now?" And I said, "I'll just stay here and work." So I was a ground worker. Stopped racing. Had no real interest in racing again because I had no money or anything. I just thought I can't pay for a ride, so I just packed it in. And then that winter, at the end of the year, I went back home to ride in the Sunflower for just one of my dad's mates on this old Big Bang R1. I think I won the race. We were just there on a bit of a piss up, really. Won the race, and then that's when the JMF guys come along and said, "Oh, do you want to ride a Ducati for us and stuff?" And I said, "I've no real interest. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back doing British Championships." He says, "Oh, just come and we'll do the Northwest. Do you want to do the TT and stuff?" I thought, "Fuck yeah, we'll go do that." And so I won a couple of races in Ireland, and then it says, "Oh, we'll just go do a super stock meet and see how you get on." And that was the Donington when we fucked off at the front, and yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the questions that we'll get from, we've got like a Twitter and stuff, so people send in questions. One thing that we'll always get asked when we've got road racing people on is, when you first went to the TT, how did you set yourself up? How did you learn the track? How did you prepare?
I didn't really do anything. I'm a bit slack, and I'm a bit that way in my racing. You know what I mean? I honestly think that for what I've achieved is a way above the ability that I have. Do you know what I mean? When I finish, I'll be like, fucking hell, I've way overachieved for how fast I think my ability actually is. But when I first went to the TT, Josh Brooks hadn't done it then either, and another good friend of mine, Gordon Crocker, was over there, and they were staying on the boat and stuff. So we pretty much just went on the fucking piss all week and stuff. And I didn't take the organizer sort of said to me, he says, "Lee, if you're thinking about becoming a good TT rider, this is the only time you're going to ever get to come and enjoy the event and everything." And I fucking made the most of that. Like, that first 2 weeks there, we were on the lash most of the time and stuff. I had a right ball. The Ducati blew up and shit, so I never even ended up racing. But I just loved the whole atmosphere, and I think I finished second that year at the Northwest on that Ducati as well.
Some bike to go as well. It
was terrible. Now,
like
if someone said, it's
it's
just like, oh my god. But I just loved it. And then I said, "Oh, I'm going to do the Ulster Grand." I think I finished second maybe at the Ulster as well. No, first time at the Ulster. I finished third in the Supersport race, and I was battling like fuck with Ian Locker, and I thought, "You have won about 25 of these fucking," and it was wet, and he was on the grass and everything. I thought, why do you want a third place in a Supersport race so much that you're willing to do this? Just let me have the. You know what I mean? This is my first time here, and I just beat. I said it to him after. I thought, but that's why he's won so many races. Do you know what I mean? He's just unbelievable.
So was that in this? Did you do the Ulster the same year as your first Northwest?
So I did all Northwest, TT, and Ulster. I finished. No, sorry. I did the Northwest the year 2011. Then 2012, I went back and finished second at the Northwest and stuff. Then and then went and did the TT.
Once you'd had a taste of the proper road racing, did that sort of move on from short circuits
I knew how hard it was in British Championship. If you don't have if you're not on, there's so many good riders. If you are not on a good bike, I don't care how good you are, you're not going to be at the front. And I had no money, do you know what I mean, to be on a good bike, and I was writing myself off, writing bikes off, trying to be with people that I had beat before. And I'm not saying that I'm good enough to win a British Championship again or whatever, but last year I can run top 5 in British Supersport, steady away. Like my boss Phil says that I'm just fucking riding around because I don't crash, and he says in this year that if I didn't crash twice before the first meeting and testing, he says we weren't going to go to any because I wasn't putting enough fucking effort in. But
that's a dream boss.
He said you don't.
I want you to write that off, son.
'Cause he's adamant that I was like riding round, you know what I mean? I was always like, I got a podium and I was like 4th, 5th, 3rd, you know what I mean? Yeah.
My biggest upset is that you didn't do the full thing.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? That would have been great to see that.
There'll be loads of people listening to that are like scratching for 20th.
No, I don't want to sound like a wanker, do you know what I mean?
But you do, mate.
That's roughly my pace without throwing my balls to the wall. Yeah. And he knows that, and he thinks that I'm not willing to fucking. And I don't know if a little bit of that is that I've been on the roads and stuff, and I want to fucking just throw the balls to the wall sort of thing. And then a little bit of me goes, well, if I wreck myself at the first meeting, I lose all my wages from the TT and everything. So there's and sometimes guys come up to me in British Supersport and go, "Oh, why don't you?" I'm like, "You don't have this to think about." Do you know what I mean? When I'm at the TT, you're sitting at home, and it doesn't make any difference. Do you know what I mean? So in theory, I ride safe on the track and then go balls to the wall on the road to try and make as much money as possible. So it's the other way around, really. But like, they ask me how hard do you try at the TT, and it's like that's it. Do you know what I mean? You're in for.
I was about to say, now you hear all these riders throwing percentages about, right?
Do you know what I mean? It's bullshit.
It is, but now, me personally, right? I'm not you and I'm not them, but I'm.
Yeah, you're riding as hard as you can, do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. I go to like North East Club Croft, and I'm the exact same mindset. You're going, don't knock your bike because you can't. But the TT, I don't care about this percentage bullshit. You just go.
You're trying as hard
Go.
as you can. Probably, maybe subconsciously, there's a little bit of you not trailing brake as much and stuff. But I think
Just riding differently. It's
yeah,
not-
you're trying. Like, do you know what I mean? And you see all these videos and photographs of Hickey and Dean and everyone. They're fucking trying. Do you know what I
So
mean?
going back to your first ever laps without much preparation, how did,
Oh,
did you know where you were?
But do you know who I set my first lap with? Was me, Carl Horace, and Milky. And I remember sort of saying to myself, I was like, I wonder how fast Milky's going to go. So me and Carl were good friends, and I says, do you want to follow him first? I says, we might as well share being right behind him, because if we're following each other, we'll fucking not learn anything, do you know what I mean? She's like, yeah, we'll get to here, and then we swap, and we did do that. Fuck me, Milky set off like fuck. I was like, what the fuck? We're supposed to... It was probably only a 90-mile-an-hour lap. But
Tossing for a control lap.
yeah, for fucking your very first ever lap, when I knew about 3 mile of the fucking first thing. Do you know what I mean? I'd watched a couple of onboards. That was it. I'd never been to the TT in my life to watch nothing, and I just set off down Brit Hill.
And this is coming from a man who's won a TT and had a humongous crash at the TT.
But
So
I
it's a bit, that would have been
I
intimidating.
remember the first time I set off, the Ducati was mint for wheelie, and I fucking wheelied the whole way to like the crossroads, and
See
some of the
millions.
marshals come in and like put a complaint in. And said to, I don't know if it was Paul Phillips or Milky or someone, says, oh, he fucking wheelied the whole way there. And they says, well, if he's good enough to wheelie the whole way there, well, he's safe enough then.
By the way, if there's any newcomers going to their TT, don't wheelie St. Indian, say
Yeah, but I do sort of wish maybe in some senses I took it a bit more serious, but then I've always got that, I'll never enjoy a TT like that for that reason again, do you know what I mean? And that was probably the best thing I ever did, do you know what I mean?
But here you are. You've won a TT now. Well done, Ham. So let's talk about your mountain course record. So you've got lap records on classic bikes. You've got how many classic TTs have you... Well, we've asked this question before. He doesn't know what is arse from his elbow when it comes to his results. No, you won Padgett's 250. You've won a 350 twice.
Tom's been doing his research.
Yeah.
I'm chasing the twat. I know what he's doing.
No, I don't think I've won 2 350s. I won. Yeah, I was leading this one this year, and then I won on that MV. Did I win one on that Honda? Fuck, I can't
Speaking
remember.
of the classic, obviously you mentioned that you didn't really come through on 2 strokes.
Yeah.
Do you not find it odd riding like proper
Oh,
classic?
yeah, I haven't a clue what I'm doing.
Because people who have come through riding 2
I'm
strokes...
quite... I am gentle on it. Do you know what I mean? For someone that's used a slipper clutch most of his life and Evan, I am sympathetic on
Do you
the
hover
bike.
the clutch
yeah,
when you're riding?
Yeah. And on that 2-stroke, so when I won the 250 race, I had only ever done 2 laps of the TT on a 2-stroke, and that's the only 2-stroke riding I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Because you and Adam McLean were dicing for the win on that, and Adam McLean has properly cut his teeth on 2 strokes. And obviously,
I think my bike was probably better than his, to be fair. Honestly, and I probably wasn't. If I'd have got, I was sort of figuring the job out, and then I reckon if I come in, I was so pissed off there was only a 4-lap race. I thought, fucking hell, I forgot another 2. I wanted to break the lap record. I think I was a mile an hour off.
What speed would that have been?
118 or no, 120 maybe, and I did 118.8 or 100.
That's
something
serious,
like that.
that, isn't it? That is because didn't you ride at the Ulster Grand Prix at 250?
That's the one I have now. But I did a 2 laps in the wet and high sided and
Was
broke
that
my
parade?
collarbone. No, it was like I decided I wanted to ride my own bike. Yeah,
And you smashed your collarbone.
Oh fucking! Phil Reed went mental. Yeah, the boys rang him up. I come out of the hairpin and I don't know if something hit something or it was me or whatever, but it just went whoop, over, and I thought, fuck's sake.
That was Lindsay Hairpin.
And I broke my collarbone. I got straight up and I went to the ambulance. It says I broke my collarbone. I says I'll probably be sick because I'm always sick when I break a bone. I says, and if you give me any morphine, can you give me the tablets because it gives me an itchy nose? And I sat down and the ambulance driver was like, do you want to drive the fucking ambulance as well? But I went in, and then the boys obviously rang the boss and said, oh, Lee's fell off the bike and broke his collarbone. And he said, what bike was he on? He says, oh, he's on his 250. And he goes, we don't own a 250. He goes, yeah, he was on his own 250. And he wasn't best pleased. So then Gary, they were coming over that night. That was on Tuesday. They were coming Wednesday. So they just went and picked Gary Johnson up. And he come and rode the bikes on Thursday and Saturday, yeah. So
Bloody hell.
So we got up to sort of the Ducati days. What was the? I know you have run for the East Coast team. Was that the next? Did you go Ducati to East Coast?
I fell off the Ducati the next year at Thruxton. I run onto the grass to start and finish and snapped the bike in half, and that was
is that on
weeks.
YouTube?
Probably.
Oh, we'll have to. YouTube finds all kind of demons, doesn't it?
It wrecked it, but the bike. It was 3 weeks, 2 days before the Northwest, and I broke my tibia and fibia or whatever in your shin. And then the Millsport guy said, "Oh, you'll not be fit." So we had our own 600, and I said to Phil, I says, "I will be fit to ride the bike at the Northwest." I says, "If you get the 600 ready, we'll just go and ride that." Because they I didn't fall out with them, but they went and paid Carl Harris to come and ride the bike without really giving me a chance to get fit. So then I was like super determined. I spent like two dives a day in the oxygen chamber and stuff like that. Like I was proper grafting, and I got on the podium at the Northwest in the Supersport race, and Horace didn't really even want to be there, bless him. And he come in one race and said the sun was in his eyes. so
Where did Carl finish?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he didn't finish the
race. No,
race.
He didn't finish. So then obviously we were running out of the same truck, so they had told me I couldn't ride the bike. He didn't want to ride the bike, and I got on the podium with our other bike. So they weren't. But I was like proper determined to. And then 2 weeks later, I went to the TT and stuff. So I was a bit sore that year.
Jesus, because riding around there with an injury is you can't.
It's impossible.
It would be impossible, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was hard.
Bloody hell. Now, what year? Now, I'll tell you what. We're gonna have to get the crash situation just out the way. Now, I remember. Was it a couple of years ago on the Paget 600?
Yeah.
You came through Grebe.
2 years ago.
Was that 2 years ago? You were a lucky boy there, mind.
Yeah.
Like what injuries did you get?
I went into that week and sort of. Like for 3 or 4 years I'd done nothing. Do you know what I mean? I thought like Dean's been on the podium and everything. I says I'm beating them everywhere else, and I just went right. This is it. This is going to be my year, sort of thing. And that week through practice, I was sort of like quickest in the sessions and all, and I was quickest that night. And I don't know what happened. I have no memory. I can't remember even leaving the island, and my brain was bleeding and stuff. And
bloody hell.
I just took the front. I broke 4 vertebrae, tailbone, hands, my jaw. I can't remember what else. My brain was bleeding. So I got out of hospital before the senior. I remember I was obviously at the senior because I've seen pictures and stuff. But the only real memory I have is being on the boat home and not really knowing how I got on the boat and stuff and got back to the house. But I give me missus some right grief because my head was mangled. Do you know what I mean? But they never told me that you get angry when your brain, or your brain, I can't even say the word brain, bleeds. But so I went to see this specialist not far from here for all the rugby league players, that get hurt. And he says, "Oh yeah, you'll get." He says, "Are you okay?" and stuff. And I says, "No." I says, "I'm fucking angry all it. Like if my phone was there and I wanted to be there, I'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Why did you put this here?
Well, yeah. So then he explained everything, so that calmed me down a bit. But I was literally the week after I got back, Christy's phone flashes when she gets a text message. So I was lying in bed, her phone flashes, and I go, "Fuck's sake!" And she was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I've just been done by a speed camera." She was like, "What do you mean?" She says, "I've just seen the fucking flash go off. I've been done by a speed camera." She goes, "Lee, you're lying in bed. It's fucking 10 o'clock at night." And I was like, "Do you not think I know when the fuck?" And then I just
it's a bit worrying when your wife says you're a bit quick in bed as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I literally then I just went, and she goes, "You're gonna have to go and see somebody," says, "because your head is nowhere near right." So that's why I went to see.
I've had a few small, like really small head injuries, but do you know if you've got like if you say break your arm and you know it's the pain's there and you sort of know it's healing, but when something's going on upstairs, it's awful. But I've just found that video. It's 2009 British Supersport Thruxton.
Oh no, that's another. I actually broke. Do you know what? This is another.
Like, by the way, to all our YouTube followers, sorry, this is the brand new system we're here, so we're trying to figure it out. Do you reckon you can bung it onto that?
This is my first year. This sort of wrecked the start. This was when I just started riding for raceways.
If we put this in the front of the camera, people will be
able
to see
it.
For anyone that's listening to this, like audible, not on YouTube, if you go onto YouTube and type in 2009 British Supersport Thruxton, and it's Lee Johnston and Dennis Hobbs, is it?
Yeah, so Dennis crashed. Yeah, this is my first year riding for raceways, and this is the second meeting. So I don't know where I am on the grid. I'm like there on the outside, so 9th maybe, 8th or 9th.
Is that this?
So Dennis crashes here somewhere, and then I jump over him.
Oh!
Yeah. So I actually broke my. I
There's
broke
All
my
our listeners
ankle.
will be like, what the fuck?
There's literally nothing left of that
No,
bike.
I broke my ankle, and I went back to the medical centre and I lied and said it was my other foot that was sore. So he checked my other foot, and I had Daytona boots on, so I thought, it's like a bit of a cast in it, so I'll not say anything. And yeah, they checked my other foot on, and then the team let me use Billy's spare bike. So I finished 5th in the race.
With
And then-
a smashed foot.
Yeah, and then I come back in, and then I went into the medical centre and took my boot off, and the thing just went boom, blew out, and the doctor went absolutely apeshit, yeah, because I'd lied about. Don't do that. Don't lie to the doctor. It's not clever. So then, like years after that, when I'd injured something else, I was in, and the same guy was, I don't know what his name was, he was there, he was like, don't believe anything he says, he lied to me before, and he like give me this fucking massive check over from my fingernails to my toes, you know what I mean, because he was adamant that. But yeah, I think I finished 5th or 6th in the race on Billy's spare bike, because obviously he was the number one rider, so he had a spare bike. And then Steve Rogers drove me the whole way from Truxton back to Blackpool at the time where we were living, to go and get an operation the next day.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
You've had some injuries over the years,
Yeah.
man. If any that we haven't mentioned, have you had any sort of standout breaks or anything? Pretty much covered
Not
the
really,
big ones.
yeah. Them's all the big Northwest, the TT, and a couple of British Championship ones. Yeah, I've nothing. Yeah.
He's right. It's the bleed on the brain thing, I think, that's got to
My
him, man.
memory is terrible. Like I almost feel bad because people like say to me sometimes, "Oh, do you remember when you won here or did this?" And I don't remember most of it. I obviously remember winning, winning certain things and certain things happening, but a lot of it, my memory's really bad. And I said, like, some shit will come on the TV that means nothing, and I will know it or I'll remember it. And I'm like, how can I remember this? And I can't remember something massive that's happening. And I almost feel like people think I don't care enough about it, but I do. But it just doesn't seem to.
I think there is a thing where once your brain fills up with, especially with old age, you start.
Hold on, man. Right, well, Lee, thank you for being here, son. Now that we've Chrissy's fully insulted you, there they are. Well done, Chrissy. Well done. Right, let's see how you dig out of this. So let me just get me shovel for you.
Sorry, like say me granddad.
Yeah.
Or he'll know like what something like random happened like 20 years ago, but he can't remember where he left his keys.
Yeah.
It's funny with your brain. But anyway, so got on to starting road racing East Coast, and then what was your next like?
Yeah, so we stayed.
Honda, like,
Yeah,
what was
we
your next big
stayed. We
break?
stayed with East Coast for a few years, and then I didn't. The year in 15, like I had a really good year. So won the Northwest, was on the podium at the TT, won 3 or 4 races in one day at the Ulster, and then sort of other teams asked me then, like maybe Taiko was talking and Honda and all them, but I didn't want to the group of guys, and I said I don't really want to go anywhere, so I stayed, and for another 2 years. And to be fair, I was shit. You know what I mean? My dad died then that year, or after the Ulster, that big crash. Or the crash in the 250, and then I think the next year I was just trying real hard. Things didn't work out. You know what I mean? I didn't win any races. I did nothing for nearly 2 years. You know what I mean? And then obviously in what year are we in now? 18, 19, yeah. So then I obviously went to Honda then after that, and sort of thought, I'll have a go. Do you know what I mean? Things can't get much worse. And I hated the bike. And
Just remind us on when. In the sort of had there just been a new bike out, or did you get there after?
Yeah, so Guy got it the
Guy.
first year, the new bike and stuff. So I was riding for Jackson's then.
Yes.
And
then him and McGuinness went, and you and
yeah,
was it you and Hutchie?
No, I was there with McGuinness.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sorry, no, McGuinness went. Yeah. So
McGuinness came up the same year as Guy Martin, didn't he?
So then, it was me and Hutchie, and I just hated the bike. It was too fast. It had too much power and too aggressive, and there was the electronics weren't right for it. And there was just loads of things I wanted to change, and it was almost as if they were saying, "No, this bike wins, and that's it," sort of thing. And I just couldn't get on with it. Do you know what I mean? So it was still being on the podium or winning in the Supersport and stuff. So it was just like, I'll just see the year out.
And that was on Paget machinery, wasn't it? So you had to be on a Honda by contract at that point.
Yeah. And at the time, like Phil Reid has helped me so much through my career. That was the thing, you know what I mean? We were factory Honda riders. Lee, this is, there you go. That's what we wanted, do you know what I mean? But maybe 3 years. I should have went in 15 really when the bike was a proper race winning bike.
No, when you keep referring back to, is it Phil Reed?
Yeah.
Is that's not
No,
Phil
no,
Reed,
no,
Princess
no,
Reed,
no,
yeah.
no. Yeah, so he's the guy that owned East Coast Construction or whatever, and that's
Right,
who's
got you.
been behind me for so long. Yeah, and then he was there obviously and seen the amount of things that were going wrong, and it was just a shit show really for being a factory team. And he just said, you know what, we can do a better job than this. And then he just says, literally, probably the first week of December, we sat down, and by the second week of December, we had bought a truck, 2 or 3 bikes, everything. Got Roger, that's the sort of team coordinator, on board. Within 2, that's the type of him. You know what I mean? He runs a big business, and we're going to do this now, and this is what happened. So in that space of time, we bought all this stuff, and I sort of worked through the whole winter getting everything sort of together, all the designs and all that sort of stuff.
And
so,
this is from when East Coast Racing became Ashcourt. This is the transfer period.
Yeah, so the Ashcourt obviously owns East Coast Construction now. That company bought it out.
Right,
so then
right.
to be the brand and to be right, they said they'd be interested in coming racing. So we got them on board, and a few other big civil like Burdens and other construction companies that works beside them. Got that all tied in and went testing, and then we won our first race at the Northwest on the bike. You know what I mean?
That, yeah.
To do that and then to win the TT and everything has been
I
amazing.
tell you what, obviously when you see all the trucks parked up and all the bikes out there, I'll be speaking for a lot of people, but the image of the team that you've got with you, the leathers, just everything, it looks absolute, like so professional. The truck, who did you get that truck from? Was that already?
It's actually Halsol's old truck.
Dom mentioned that. He's giving us the look like
told you.
I wasn't doubting you, I was just checking.
But
it's beautiful setup. And is it Tommy Hill that does all your graphics?
Yeah, he did quite a lot, and I'm quite interested in it. Like, even when I do the clothing with Red Torpedo and everything, I like to have a real, I don't want someone designer just to do it, and then I like to have a good input. And not saying I know what I'm doing, but I know what I like to look at, sort of thing. And me and Tommy sort of went back and forward, and then when it come to the Ashcourt colour is pretty much that colour, but when it come to painting the bikes, Luke at Spray Bay paints Mark VDS's Grand Prix bikes, and the blue in that bike is nearly the same, but it's just a little bit more pop in it. Like, the white base was brighter, and he says, oh, you want to use this instead of that, and that's what their blue is. It's actually VDS blue.
I think pretty much my favourite bike certainly when I first got into racing was, can you remember the Rizzler Suzuki?
Same as,
so when I've still actually got all my old stuff. So when I first went to BSB to watch, I got I used to love John Reynolds, Michael Rutter, and can you remember when Scott Smart left the Kawasaki and went there? And so I've still got all the cap and that.
My mini motor was actually painted in. I've still got the bodywork of it. It's Rizzler blue, so it's the same nearly blue as my bike I've got now.
It works well with the racing, but.
Hey, but now that you went into that side of like getting heavily involved in running your own team, really, with close friends and sponsors, can you see yourself transferring that team kind of owner situation on and bringing someone into a team and running someone, or
I don't know.
Expanding the Lee Johnston name and racing for years to come?
I think you see what Michael Rutter's done, and the big thing, if you've got the money there to do it, that makes life a lot easier. So if you could tie a sponsor in for 2 or 3 or 4 years, then you could consider it. But it's a lot of graft, and I know how fucking hard work riders are. Do you know what I mean? And I am, and I must frustrate the shit out of it, because I'm like, one day I'll get out of bed and everything's easy and I can win, and other days I'm not. And Phil is so understanding. I'll just say, the bike was mint, but I was just shit today, and that is the end of the conversation. Do you know what I mean? And I know that as a team manager, but I would be then trying to massage the situation to try and get them to compete and stuff, and maybe help the rider. But it's getting the right rider, and then there's a big thing of, do you get a rider with some money that's maybe not as good? Or I personally would want to help someone like me that had nothing, but is maybe decent enough rider. But then you need more money already in the team, and there's a lot of margins. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe something for after maybe once you retire.
I'm already old now, so I need to be.
According to you, Chrissy,
Spot on.
So I'll tell you what was interesting before we got this interview going. You were talking about like how cyclists like earn an obscene amount of money.
That's actually my real passion. Is
really?
I have more interest in cycling. So at the start of the year, we went to we were out in Portugal, me and Christy, and the tour of Portugal was on. And I'm like a proper fanboy. These cyclists are there outside the bus, and I got photographs taken. Well, yeah, I was like with Geraint Thomas and sorry, can I answer this because it's Christy?
Yeah, of course.
Hello. I'm just in the trailer outside doing this interview.
We can edit this out, can't we?
I'll be in and I'll not be that long.
Oh, we don't have to. We can just carry on having the crack.
All right.
He's talking to the missus, so it's absolutely fine.
All right.
Oh, we're going to ask him next.
Bye-bye. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, we've just pinged that and it's vibrated through my earphone.
Where were we? Oh, God. Everything all right, though?
Yeah.
Spot on. That's amazing. We're talking about bringing on riders, weren't we? And then team management. No, cycling. So
cycling.
Cycling.
So we're in Portugal, right? And obviously, Sky or Ineos was there, the team and stuff. And I obviously know who all these riders are and everything. I'm like, fucking hell, such. And Christy's laughing her head off because I'm like, this fucking 12. Oh, properly. So Geraint Thomas gets out of the bus and Ben Swift and stuff. These guys ride for Ineos. So I got a photograph with them and I was fucking made up to bits, right? But Ben Swift, he lives on the Isle of Man or whatever. But one of his friends is Pritchard or whatever, and he messaged Pritchard. He says, I'm sure Lee Johnston's just asked me for a photograph thing, and he was like proper like fan thing, and he said, oh yeah. So Pritchard then sent me a thing going, you fucking knobhead, why have you just asked him for a photo? I was peeking. He's like, British champion, you know, where's the British championship? I was like, I was proper made up. He was real polite to me and everything, but Christy couldn't fathom that I was this excited to start. But in my eyes, I have far more respect for top level cyclists than any other sport in the world. The suffer they go through for what they have to do for their job is unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? But people think, just because I'm maybe decent at something, or people ask me, it doesn't mean that I don't want to then see them, or do you know what I mean?
I'm actually in shock. Like that is no. Like, I don't mean that in a detrimental fact at all. You've obviously got passion outside of racing, but like
massively.
For me, racing against you lads, that's my kind of fangirl.
But
you know what I mean? That's the truth of it.
I was supposed to go then for a thing for the TT to go and ride against a cyclist, like a view around the Isle of Man and everything, with a cyclist, like a professional cyclist from the Isle of Man, and I was like fucking so excited. And now obviously it never got to happen, did it, or whatever? So
bloody hell.
Yeah.
But like those outstanding moments, like outside of sport, like, you know, at the Ulster Grand Prix one year, you had a very, very famous, very, very hard boxing man on the back of your bike. Now let's talk through that. That must have been a hell of an experience for that swap.
Well, before that, I'd sparred with him, Carl Frampton. Yeah, I got in. I can't box for shit. I couldn't beat eggs. You know what I mean? And we went to do a thing for BBC, and he was like, "Oh, get in." I said, "I'm not getting in. You're not allowed to actually hit me." Like I
That's
said,
like
I'm
an
not...
alligator inviting you into the
so
water. Come on, get yourself in, son.
We're the same height, same age, same weight, same reach. Like if we were going to fight, it would be exactly perfect. Only I can't fight and he can.
Perfect for him anyway.
Yeah, and at this point, he was maybe only one. He's 2-weight world champion now, so he was 1-weight world champion. And we were in this fucking sparring thing, and the trainer goes, he was probably only 3 or 4 weeks out from fighting. He says, fucking crack a few on him, because he has to get, he's been sparring, he's used to getting hit or whatever. And I said, I'm not hitting him. He says, fucking hit him, he'll not hit you back. So I like this here, and he just hit me a little jab, and I thought, fuck yeah, I hit him as hard as I could, mate. And he never even, and he just went like that there, and caught me in the nose. Fuck, my head was banging. And it literally just threw a couple of shots, right? And it was like, he was there hitting me, and there was somebody else fucking over there hitting me, and somebody here was hitting me as well. I couldn't even see the speed of his hands. It was just ridiculous. So then he was stupid enough. Oh yeah. So I got him on the back of the. He might remind Carl can't even ride a moped. Like he's got no. He can just about ride a bicycle. So but he likes bikes and stuff. And so I got him in my leathers, my hat, everything. He'd all my kit on him, and we set off at the Ulster Grand Prix. And I probably did 170 mile an hour with him on the back, but I pulled a fucking stonking big wheel. You know where you go out the road end and right up the hill. So he was just getting tighter and tighter, and I was like, I couldn't fucking breathe. I had to go down. I was like, let go a little bit, but it got to the end of the lap, right, and he got off the bike, and I swear to God, I could have flicked him, and he was fucked. He was empty.
You should have hit him then.
And this is somebody that can do 15 rounds of. He says, Lee, he was the best. He was shitting himself, but he absolutely, like his dad and all was there, and he was like, you couldn't talk. He was standing shaking and everything, but I said, you're in there in front of 50, 60,000 people doing what you do. I couldn't think of anything worse, do you know what I mean, than having to do that. But then it's just whatever your brain is used to doing or seeing is what you're comfortable with. But yeah, it was good. Like, it was good to get a bit of revenge on him.
I bet. And speaking of like this year that's just went, obviously with the coronavirus, we've done absolutely nothing this year. But 2000 and the previous
19,
year, 2019, was a hell of a season for you. And I know we've got a few questions from our patrons, which we'll get on to. But one of them was about obviously your race win in the Supersport, the TT. I wasn't there for that, but I was listening. I think like back home, I was listening live on the Manx radio and that, and obviously very emotional, like on the podium and stuff. Like, talk us through that race, and did you know going into the race that you had a good chance of the win, and like what was your mindset during the race?
The best part of the whole, you'll probably see on the TV footage, on the build-up, I never even got a mention. Do you know what I mean? I was going okay in practice, but the weather was always a bit shitty, and I'm like, if there's any damp, I'm useless. Do you know what I mean? I've no interest. I'm not. And that morning of the race now, and I think it was because nobody spoke to me or they didn't care, and I just thought, fuck, you know what? I said, I'm gonna have a fucking do at this, like, and I set off, and I think the first pit board, I was maybe late. I think Hillier was leading from the start, or I was maybe, but it said fuck all on the pit board. Do you know what I mean? It was just like you're thereabouts, and I just thought, I'm trying to think who. Hillier always starts well, Dean always starts well, and then the next minute I thought, fuck, I can see Hickman. I said, so he's not. No, I've made 5 seconds on him, so I thought, fucking bang on, this is.
Oh, of course, because you changed your race number.
Yeah, I went from 13 to 11, so I thought he was off 10, and I'd caught him on the first lap, and I thought, oh, this is mint. And then by the time we were about to go into the pits, I was right up behind him. But
I tell you what, that must have been perfect over the mountain.
Oh yeah, it was. And he knew because he looked around and stuff, and I thought, oh, and he obviously wanted to try and he wanted to try and get away because obviously, and for him, I think it was just because he had no time on the 600. It was just all these things fell into place. He was trying to ride his big bike, and I got a good start, and I always knew that the mountain is my best sort of section, bar probably Hickman, who is fucking really good there, but. The other year when I got on the podium in the Superstock, I made like 4 or 5 seconds up on Hillier over there. And then on the pit board then I knew it was Hillier that I was sort of battling with. I thought, oh, well, I'll try and make a gap over the mountain. And I did, and I got maybe 5 seconds or whatever it was. But when we were coming in to go into the pits, it was like there was a red flag out. And then there was... So I think it was Dean had hesitated and went in and then stopped or whatever, but only because Hickman was in front of me. I was going to go into the pits, and then he pulled on and went through the line. So if he hadn't have been there, I would have pulled into the pits and probably not won the race. So only that he caught me eye. I didn't even see the guy because the guy in the flag's right over on the right hand side. So the checker flag was out. So when I come into the park for me, I thought, what the fuck's going on here? Then I thought, oh, it's just going to be rerun. So I gets down the little return road, and there's this guy there going, well, they're all going mad, but there's one guy going absolutely berserk, and I'm like, fuck, he looks a bit excited for, like, is it over or what? So I'm going, is it over? And he's like, shouting. So he was that excited, he couldn't even fucking tell me what. So I went to the next person, I was like, what's happening? He was like, oh, you've won the race, like. And I thought, no way. I said, right, I'm not going to get excited because I'm going to get up. This cunt's probably drunk. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I get up, and I remember, like, because Paul Phillips from Milky's always there to turn you in, and he was like, oh, you finished first. And I was like, fucking hell. You feel that?
A rush of adrenaline.
Yeah, I just thought, fucking hell, I can't believe.
Was that the biggest sort of hairstyle?
Oh, yeah.
I
think, and everyone's like, oh, you must have been so excited. But I think it's just relief. Do you know what I mean? Because I think for that long at the TT, I've underachieved, do you know what I mean? Or I think for what, like, when I've won all these races at the Ulster and all, and they're all the same fucking people I'm racing, so why am I not doing it there? Yeah, so I think it was just relief more than.
Did you do a big burnout or anything?
I didn't do fuck all. I just sat and cried like a girl. I think inside my helmet until anybody come along. So
was Christy and Jesse there?
Yeah. He was in his pajamas because he was ready to go to his bed, but. Yeah, the whole team, and it was just the fact that, like, everybody in the team is somebody we've picked or lads that really wanted to be there, and do you know what I mean? That's what meant. If I had won it riding for Honda, it wouldn't have meant as much as it did. Do you know what I mean?
It felt more like a job at that point. Going, well, you get paid.
But the feeling that all the lads, and they were so chuffed. Do you know what I mean? The fact that we'd all built it together and done it all. The bike was built in our, you know what I mean?
What everyone goes racing for.
Been like, and I think to go straight out, win the Northwest, win the TT. Do you know what I mean? the fucking Ulster really pissed me off because I wanted the bike to win all three. Do you know what I mean? But Hickman just beat me fair and square, and that pissed me off nearly more than anything else that's happened all year. Like it's,
I was about to say, we talk about that on this pod all the time. No, and it was phenomenal. You were the only man to take it to Hickman that entire. No. I don't mean that detrimental to anyone else, but that race was amazing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an all-time classic.
It fucks me off. I wish somebody just edited it so that when I come round, I win the race just for one fucking. Do you know what I mean? But I said to him after, do you know what I mean? And like the respect we sort of have for each other. Like Hickman is a fucking good rider, and he's clean as a. You know what I mean? We never touched.
It.
We were inches all the time, and we never brushed each other, and we must have passed each other. Fuck me, 15 times. You know what I mean?
Not many people that you could do that with.
No, there's not. Like probably like. Yeah, Connor, Dean, James Hillier, the few. Most of the road guys are pretty understanding, but like because Hickey's level is so high on a short circuit, and he's that used to do it. You know what I mean?
Getting scratching really.
Yeah.
So who's been the scariest rider you've ever worked? Like that could be roads or shorts. Well, by the sounds of it, yeah. Like who's your most?
I think
gone the
Seeley
line and gone.
I think Seeley,
whoa.
Yeah, nobody really, because I tend to try and serve a portion back. Do you know what I mean? Like Alistair was like that, and I think there's been a few things in order. But the trouble is, Alistair doesn't ride the TT or the Ulster. Do you know what I mean? He's just and the Northwest is a short circuit, really. Bar there's some lampposts and stuff, so he's sort of got that in his head. And that's what you have to understand. But as far as road racers go, I don't think there's anybody that I'm.
Yeah, well, which is brilliant to hear. Yeah. But when you just get up with someone and gone,
he's not gonna,
because you're. Let's be very blunt. You're right at the front. You're dicing with the same lads all the time. And like you say, you just can't. You can almost read what they're going to do beforehand.
That's how it was really hard going back to do British Championship, you know, because I've been out for so long, and the only people I knew in Supersport were Jack and Alistair. And to be fair, I wasn't right with them, so I was sort of battling with kids that had fucking no idea who was gonna, and they probably thought, who's this road racer trying to come back, and do you know what I mean? But nobody really. It was a lot easier. Like when I was back doing Supersport before, you had like Glenn Richards, Steve Plater, Billy McConnell, Jason O'Halloran. Do you know what I mean? All boys that were getting a portion. Do you know what I mean? And not bad, but you knew they were there. And I come back. I remember saying to Jack, I was like, these boys are all so polite. This isn't me. This is, you know what I mean? Nobody's shunting me or doing anything. And bar maybe if you lapped somebody and they didn't see you and a bit of let rubber on me and stuff. But apart from that, everybody was so good. Do you know what I mean? And your Superstock class is not always like that, I know. But I think because there's maybe some young kids in Supersport and stuff, and they were a bit more forgiving to me, old man.
I think you're going to have to apologize. I've written an apology to Lee after this.
And mentioning like your family before, obviously Christy and Jesse, on like social media and stuff, you see, you know, you always like doing stuff together and stuff, like a happy little family. Did you meet Christy through the racing or?
Yeah, at the TT. So I've pretty much ruined her dad's TT forever, because he used to always go to the TT, and that's when Christy's birthday is. So he sort of got out of getting her a present because he was always away, and now he has to either organise something to bring with him or get her something on the Isle of Man. Nice. And he's been to the TT for years and years, and she just went randomly with him one year, and I met her there. So
the DMs.
Oh yeah, which she couldn't. You know what I mean? She had no chance, had she? You know what I mean? She's seen this Greek god strutting along, and to be honest, I actually spoke to her, and she's really shy, obviously. And she completely blanked me, and I thought, you fucking arrogant bitch. Yeah, and then I seen her again. She ended up going to the Ulster or something, and I seen her again, and then actually got talking to her. But yeah, so the first time I ever met her, she fucking shot me down.
Yeah, definitely a man who dishes out the portions. Any rejection.
Oh yeah,
it's like, this ain't happening.
This is not happening. Happening. Wee man syndrome, fucking straight away. But yeah, so. Yeah, we've been happily since, happily ever after. Never once had an argument, or you know what I mean.
By the way, if you are listening to this, he did do the biggest eye roll ever. There we go. But no, obviously having your family so close, and like we can see that on social media, and it's absolutely brilliant. But you meant like your dad. You lost your. When did you sadly lose your dad?
Yeah, so that same Ulster Grand Prix when I fell off the 250, I broke my collarbone, so I had to stay at home to get it plated. And then my dad died 2 weeks after that, so I probably wouldn't. I would have went home when he got sick, but it meant that I was actually home for a few weeks more than what would have been. So I think everything happens for a reason. Do you know what I mean? I was supposed to be there, and that's what he died in the end of that year.
Because you're very known for your cancer work, and it's absolutely fantastic. So your charity, it's now hold on, it's well, we all know it is foot cancer.
Yeah.
So like when did you start that? Was that before losing your
It was
dad, or?
actually no, my dad was still alive and everything. So I used to fly back like every 3 weeks to bring him to his chemo and stuff, because he had to go to for all the Northern Ireland viewers, Derry/Londonderry.
Aye, there's an F. Now I've learnt an F word because I spent a bit of time in Fermanagh, and there's an F word, Chrissy, that I'll say off air because we'll get burned to the floor. It's absolutely brilliant. That F word, you know what I'm on about.
So yeah, he had to go there, and that's probably like 2 hours from our house. So it's a full day out and stuff, and I was lucky enough that I'm not working or whatever, and I could go home for a few days and spend the day with him because he was then bedbound and stuff. So. But one of the nurses in the ward said, "Oh, Lee, could you donate anything or whatever? Because there's quite a lot of people would like something signed off you or whatever. Because it's not often we get somebody in that could maybe make a few pounds." And I was like, "Oh yeah," and they were so sweet, these women. And she says, "Oh, do you ever think about doing it? Because it's really easy for you to make money." And I thought, "Oh no," but and you're helpless really because you can't do anything. Do you know what I mean? You can't make them better. You can just sort of comfort them. And I says, "Oh fucking, I'm gonna try and set something up." So even like right at the start, then I've got some friends that play football, or even Carl give me things and auction things, and it got sort of snowballing pretty quick. So it was pretty much the woman in the nurse in the hospital that gave me the idea to do it. But they all, even like I remember after they come to my dad's funeral and everything, and these women were crying, and I was thinking, there's 50 people in that ward at any one time, and I says, you've come to one person's funeral, you're here. I says, how the fuck do you do what you do? I said, like, you're clearly emotionally attached. She says, I know we don't get attached to everyone, but a lot of them. I says, you must be, yeah. I says, you must be upset every 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? They're unbelievable people. Like, so if you can give a little bit back, and I don't even know what the total is now. You know what I mean?
On your website it's 40,000, but obviously that would have been
gone
a while ago.
Marie Curie's actually took it over now, so it's actually registered as a proper part of that charity and stuff. So
cool.
They use the logo and everything for different things that they do.
RST used to run the pink knee sliders and the merchandise. We get our merchandise through TT cases, and obviously I see you've got a few cases. And I was speaking to Flash the other day, and he said to let you know that I think they've put in more than £1,000 from the cases, like 1,000.
Even like them knee sliders, I think they got something like 500 made, and there were 1,000 made, and they went within like a week or a few days.
Well,
I
smashed 3 sets at the Isle of Man. Honestly, I did. I kept buying them. They were mint, like, you know what I mean?
So stuff like that, and they were 25 quid a pair or something. So yeah, and all the obviously Red Torpedo does all the clothing and stuff, and because it's something, it's not like it's a logo that like everybody knows somebody. You know, 1 in 3 people have a connection to someone. So and that's why it's so easy to collect for or whatever. And if the thing looks even decent, well then it's easier again for them to buy a T-shirt or wear something. So yeah, it might not help anyone, but hopefully it does. And it made me feel a little bit better by trying to do something. So that was the
excellent. I tell you what, before we get on to, we've got a few quick fire questions but we need to introduce our new thing. So now we've got the studio set up. We've very kindly been donated a PlayStation 4
that you didn't know how to turn on
by Mark Reynolds, one of our patrons. And yes, we're actually on FaceTime last night trying to find out how to work it all together.
I'll have to introduce you to another TT rider called Richard Charlton. Right, I know he's called Chicken Charlton in the paddock. He smuggles chickens, you know, fighting cockerels and stuff. Honestly, he's from Towlaw, County Durham. If you've ever heard it, he's a proper villain. Love him to bits. So I had to ring him to tell me how to switch it on, man. He's like he's nearly 40 and he just plays on COD. He's mental, man. Absolutely mental. But go on, Chris. You do the we've got a knock-off idea.
We've got it's basically like a Top Gear leaderboard. So we've got the TT game. And we're gonna set up some sector. Dom can sort it out, and we'll every guest that we get on is gonna have the go, and then obviously we'll keep a leaderboard. And,
you might as well just put me at the fucking bottom now. This is
I wouldn't say that. We've got a few guests lined up that probably haven't been on the game before, but I tell you what, we're gonna have to try and talk, like mumble our way through this. So right, while we're setting this up, who's been your biggest rival?
I don't know, you know, because like now obviously you have to say Hickman is the man to beat, isn't he? But
now what's your biggest big bike time around there? 131 man, aren't you?
Something like that. I don't even know. Yeah, 131.9 or something like that.
Yeah, 32. You're 132 man. So what do you, like to do a 35 round there?
Oh, you're tramming.
Oh
This
my God! I know it's
you understand, because obviously you know how hard it is to ride round. So you can't really talk about it to someone that's never done it. Do you know what I mean? You can't say this is what you're willing to have to. It's what you're willing to risk reward in it. That's the end of it. But I think for the general public, and in my theory, anybody that does 125 mile an hour, you are fucking tramming on.
Tramming on.
Do you know what I
aren't
mean?
you?
To do that, so as a base mark, that's good going. But anything above that is impressive, and it's just what inches you're willing to take and stuff like that. There, fuck me, she looks well.
Now you're back. We just pulled your bike up on the screen there. She does look absolutely fantastic. But I'll tell you what, you said that on an interview after you won your race, and you said all the previous advice that you've had from other TT winners is when you win one, you don't feel like you've won one. It just flows.
That's someone like you do 10 interviews after the race, and they're like, "What'd you do different? What'd you do different?" I'm like, "I did nothing. I try as hard as I can all the time, and nothing, and it just everything was right, and that was it. It was easy in my feeling. Do you know what I mean? And you float along, and
does that not keep you up at night? It keeps me up at night because you think your fastest speed comes from. You've got to try hard without trying hard.
Yeah.
How on earth does that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now he'll be the same because he's obviously British. Now, at British, do you feel like you're just 100%?
Oh yeah, when you try hard there, you feel because you can see the splits are up and tense and everything, but it's just such a different animal. Do you know what I mean? It's a completely different way of riding and thinking, and it frustrates the fuck out of you, doesn't it? But
so when you go to the Ulster, do you treat that more as
that's like
that a short circuit? That is full on short circuit mentality.
It's the way you brake and everything, whereas you don't do that at the well, you do brake hard at the TT, but there's so many corners you want to try and run through. But I suppose at the Ulster out the back is like that as well. So yeah, there's different. There's just a lot of thinking involved in there.
Speaking of thinking, I think we're ready to go here on these side of things.
What sector are we doing?
We are doing. We're trying to pick a short one. By the way, he's not doing a full lap here, so we're not going to be sitting here for 17 minutes.
This is the throttle. This one, yeah.
That's throttled, and then that one's brake on your left here. So here we go. So you are. Hold on. Section 4.
That's what we're going for.
I know. Where the hell's section 4?
I hope I know which way I'm going.
That's it. Well, best advice I got is go down Quarter Bridge, keep your C on the left.
Yeah.
Go on then. What we're doing here now?
So this is London. We've got a few quick fire questions. So
you're gonna have to get ready just to jump straight on it. So I think you've kind of answered that one. You've answered that one. I think we've just been raking through this far too quickly.
If you weren't a bike racer, what do you think you would have ended up doing as a career?
Answer that one before
I've done loads of shit jobs really. So
shit jobs.
Well, not shit jobs, but like right now I still work now and stuff. Like I was tiling some guy's bathroom yesterday. Do you know what I mean? I'm about to go and pick up a load of stone wall and to do my back garden. I do loads of different things. I wouldn't say I'm very good at anything, but
the jack of all trades, master of none situation. Huh?
Oh yeah, I was a barber when I went to do that when I left school, but I couldn't finish it because I went to England to race, obviously.
You see, you missed a huge trick in this pandemic we're doing. The amount of cash you could have had in the back pocket there, that would have been bloody phenomenal.
I think I probably would have been, a tailor or something like my dad.
Right.
Nothing exciting, yeah.
What sector do you want to do? You can set it up.
No, go on. Section 4 to 4 here.
I don't even
I'll tell you
know.
what, this interview was going so well, now we're just jabbering over a PlayStation. Just get the beers out and then we'll just carry on. 4 to 4.
Clear, hot. Moderate.
Yeah, I don't like it too hot.
Here we go.
Yeah, so probably would have just been... I've got no qualifications, you know what I mean? I left school when I was 16. So.
My favourite thing about you on Twitter is your bio is that biggest fear in life
Nobody
wants
getting
a real job.
Well, I've been working like solid this last month for my sponsor, and I said to him the other week, I says, this fucking working's never going to catch on, mate. How does anybody enjoy this? It's overrated. This is working. But I know when I finish racing, I still work now bits, and when I finish, I'm going to have to work and stuff. So it doesn't. Yeah. I think if you believe you're above that, then when you have to work, then it'll really piss you off. Yeah. So I think that it's inevitable, isn't it?
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. He's on the start line. So was the pink lid behind the charity work?
Yeah. So it was always
brilliant.
Orange before that, and then
the general league colour.
Where am I?
Here we go. I don't even know where you are. So we are we've established section 4. So this is Guy Martin's corner where he found a box full of neutrals. Coming in here. What the hell bridge? Something bridge. Ballard Bridge. Oh, Chris has found the labels.
Oh, look, that was you. That was you.
That is graphic. That's pretty disturbing. We're sitting here watching Lee Johnston roll up the road. That's pretty mental, to be fair.
A number of times.
A number of times, don't be doing that. So this is coming in the Laurel Bank. What do you make of this section? Do you
it just drops off there. Hey, this is... My hands are sweating.
I love it. It's actually quite... fun asking them questions during this. So, Lee, when did you lose your virginity? What age were you when you lost your virginity?
When I was 7.
When's the last time you peed in the shower?
About 2 hours ago.
I think he's having an orgasm, ladies and gentlemen.
See the way I just use that curve as a berm? That's my old motocross experience.
It's all kicking in back in the schoolboy days. Coming in the Glen Helen here.
If Hickey sees this, he might get a few tips and then go a bit faster.
Oh my God! I tell you, but the thing is,
I tell you what, I'm doing all right here.
You're getting overconfident. Here we go. Go on, back up the hill. Hill. They actually re-tarmac this section coming up here, and it is absolutely phenomenal.
Do you want to know something really funny?
Go on, then.
In the classic TT this year. Have you done rotor yet? No, are you going to do him?
No, we're going to do him.
He fucking fell off in front of me here, mate. He hit a neutral, went into that there, and he was laying in the middle of the road, and I nearly stalled because I was laughing that fucking hard at him, laying like a sack of shit in the middle of the road. And we come back, and I told the boys, I was like, he's fell off it. And they were like, no way. Because he scuffed his new leathers. He was fucking devil.
Absolutely howling. I think we're about to come up, and we are on Cronky Straight. Good vodka, that mind. Oof. What's your favourite drink?
Oh yeah, vodka lemonade.
Lemonade?
Daytime cider.
And the time! We have the first time, ladies and gentlemen, of the...
Feel how sweaty that controller is.
That is. You're dripping like a gypsy with a mortgage.
That's what I am.
And the pike is set which time?
143.8.
Right,
might as well to round that out to a 43 flat.
That's something on those lines. Absolutely something on those lines. So what do you make of the... Now, hold on, we're actually there, not got any connection with the TT game whatsoever.
Yeah. I think we need to get some sort of
leaderboard. We'll get a leaderboard, something on those side of things. But, hey, they are. Was that at all realistic for you then?
But yeah, it tells you which way the track's going. Obviously, you're sitting on a sofa holding a controller, do you know what I mean? I think if you could get one of them, can you get a thing where you actually sit on?
The old TT games. Definitely. Absolutely brilliant, man. Right, I'll tell you what, we'll knock that back. I don't know. I'll tell you what, we'll have a chat in the van on the way home going, was that any good? Was that not? We'll have to have the C, man. We'll have to have a C. How do we turn this off, Chrissy? There'll be people driving up the road going, I thought these lads could do a podcast. It's just getting mumbling bunch of idiots, man, in a corner. It's fantastic.
So for the rest of this, you've got any racing planned other than, I think Macau's going ahead this year. Other than that, is there anything?
So they're saying. I tried to go to New Zealand in the wintertime to race. So I went last year, and
is that the Cemetery Road race?
Yeah, there's 3 races on, and then there's more nationals and stuff. So I think I would maybe try and do that this year if I could again, because we've got another 2 years before Jesse starts school. So then that'll be the end of cruising off to the other side of the world for a few months. So. I'll maybe try and get there and do that. I would like to, and there's a big bicycle race I want to do in New Zealand. It's sort of 500-600 kilometers over 5 days, and you sleep in a tent and everything. So I sort of wanted. It's in end of November, so I'd like to try and do that and then go race if I can. But it's all ifs and buts, really.
Ifs and buts.
I need to get a teammate as well, because you can't do it on your own, and I can't fucking talk anybody into wanting to. Do it with me.
My teammate racing with Tom Ward, you know.
Yeah.
Tom's just cycled Everest on that. No, is it Swift or something?
Yeah. He didn't really. He set it on with electric motor. Yeah, and he didn't tell anybody, so I've just called his bluff. Yeah, he's full of shit. Yeah.
Did you see his time? He's I think especially with this coronavirus thing, he's just got into cycling. Yeah. He's definitely got the physique for it. Do you struggle with your size? Is it an advantage having long legs?
It depends on the sort of climbing and stuff. I'm probably a lot better because it's obviously watts per kilogram. Do you know what I mean? So it's the small. If you look at any top cyclist that's climbing like Quintana or anyone like that works in the Alps, do you know what I mean? They're all little guys, whereas then all the sprinters or like GC riders tend to be a little bit bigger because they have to be fit to time trial and climb and do a bit of everything. So yeah.
So you and Richard Cooper are built for the job. So now you actually went with Richard Cooper to New Zealand, didn't you?
Yeah. So we were out there last winter. He fucking smoked me, didn't he?
So okay, right. Here's a question. Now that you've trained with Carl Frampton, who would win in a fight, straight up fight? You or Coops? He listens to this show, so this is going to be the straight up answer.
I'd give him a good chance. You know, He's fucking old though, isn't he?
Oh yeah, no.
Mate, the only annoying
You
thing
don't want
is,
to show a face.
every
This goes
time,
on YouTube.
every
you know,
time,
so-
every time we fucking get anywhere, he's probably, I can't even remember what age he is. He's been the same age for 10 years, but he's a few years older than me, and he looks about fucking 15 years younger. The baby face shit. Yeah, so it doesn't matter, I suppose, what age you are. He's fit as well. Like he's in good nick and stuff, and he takes his racing very seriously. Do you know what I mean? He's riding all the time, and yeah, I can't, to be honest. He's going to be hard to beat again this year, and he like on that new BM and stuff. He'll be hard. It'll be hard work, like. But
I like how Dom's looking at me.
get your finger out.
Good luck. Well, I think that about wraps us up. I think, and thank you very much for spending your time with us, jabbering in here and christening the new studio. And
I will turn the cameras off for that bit here. I'm just going to shut the door behind you, lads. And just let you...
It's nice to look at you and know that I'll always have been your first. You know what I mean? That's it. See that little twinkle in your eye. And before you go, if you can sign our helmet as well, we'll get that sorted. But massive thank you, and we'll look forward to catching up soon. Cheers, mate. Take care. Cheers, bye.